Can I tell you a secret? Maximizing your next Disney vacation or your travel plans, no matter where you're going, is much more than just having the perfect plan. In fact, I actually think that having the perfect plan is a little bit overrated, but that's probably a discussion for another day. It's about a mindset, having the right attitude, and honestly, knowing what you want out of your vacation. And that's why today I want to share with you 5 secret tips. Yeah, you won't hear too many people talking about these things that I think will help you get the most out of your next vacation, whether you're traveling to Walt Disney World or anywhere else. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the walkway between Hollywood Studios and what will ultimately lead us all the way to Epcot. Of course, there's a lot of fun on the way there. Today I thought I would take a nice walk, we could chat a little bit, see if there's anything going on. And of course, I want to share these 5 things with you. Because you know, there's always so much focus on planning and spreadsheets and all that stuff. I know I talk about that all the time, but not enough focus in the right areas, at least not in my opinion. Now, I would love to tell you that it's an absolutely gorgeous day here at the most magical place on earth, but the reality is it's not. I mean, it's a nice day to be here. We've got some cloud cover, which means it's a little bit cooler. I think the high is gonna be like 85 today, which is great, but it has been sprinkling. There are definitely some thunderstorms in the forecast, so, you know, this could go either way, but we're gonna make the best out of it. It's what we do here. And we're certainly not gonna let a little bit of rain scare us. This is Florida after all. We get rain all the time in thunderstorms. So we've always got a backup plan. Of course, this is kind of a great place to have a backup plan. Oh my goodness. Guys, there's a croc over here. I can't believe it, but if you look closely, you might be able to see it. Oh goodness, that's a beauty. Okay, it's a little bit of a dad joke, but I got you there for a second, didn't I? All right, what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, this is a great place to be on a day like today. It's also a great place to enjoy just a resort day. Maybe you're not going to the parks, or maybe you want to escape the parks for a minute, because there are a lot of resorts in this area with some great dining options, and you know, it's just a fun place to wander around. But without any more delay, certainly no more crocs on the horizon, let's talk about the first thing that I think you really need to keep in mind, and the thing that I think will absolutely have you having a better vacation if you take it into consideration, and that is understanding that your family is who your family is, accepting them for who they are. Now, I'm sure some of you might be wondering, hold on a second, what are you talking about? So let me offer a little bit of clarification. Also, had to break out the umbrella. It's starting to rain significantly enough that an umbrella is necessary. Honestly, I'm just happy that I have it because it's hit or miss. Sometimes I pack what I need to, sometimes I don't. Today, not only did I put on my it's okay if these get wet shoes, but I also have my umbrella, which that's a win in my book. Anyway, so here's the thing. When it comes to planning vacations, whether it's here to Walt Disney World or anywhere else, I find that families tend to want to see their family in the best possible light, which is always great. People want to think about their families in a good way, not focusing on the negative. But when you're planning a trip, especially if you're planning with an entire family, especially when we're talking about traveling with kids, it's important to recognize the not so great things about your family. Acknowledge those things and plan around them. Now, of course, this is going to look different for every family, right? Because every family has different wants and needs, but making sure that you're recognizing the things that maybe overwhelm family members or make them cranky, as well as other wants and needs that need to be accommodated daily, is really important, because despite being the most magical place on earth, Disney magic can only go so far. So if your kid needs a nap or they snack all the time, all of that is something you're going to have to plan into your trip and not just completely ignore once you get here. I mean, you can ignore it. Many families do. You can pretend that the wants and needs of your kids or other family members don't exist. But I assure you, those chickens will come home to roost, and you're gonna have to deal with those things when you're on vacation anyway. So making sure that you're aware of all of that ahead of time and making the appropriate accommodations in your travel plans will mean that you ultimately waste less time trying to figure out how to make those accommodations while you're here, and it'll also mean that everyone's happier. Seriously. Now, the next thing on our list is to understand the why of your vacation. Why exactly are you here? What is your goal? Why did you book this trip? And at the end of your trip, when you make your way back home, what is it that you need to accomplish to feel like it was worth it? Is it that you want to enjoy your family and make memories? Do you want to celebrate something in particular? Or do you want to try and do a speed run and do every single attraction at Walt Disney World in one weekend? Whatever your goal is, whatever the aim is for this trip, it's important to identify what that is and keep that in the back of your mind so that you can continue to refocus on it. And look, this is important for a few different reasons. First, because I think having something that you can focus your energy on, a goal that you can try to achieve, is definitely going to result in you having a more focused trip and a better trip, which is always nice, especially when you're spending significant amounts of money traveling. But having a goal, having a focus can recenter you, especially when you get a little bit overwhelmed when you're here at the parks. Of course, I just put my umbrella away and then it starts to rain again. Just the way it is sometimes, you know? Look, the parks can be very overwhelming. Travel in general can be very overwhelming. And so it can be nice to have something that you're like, this is why we're here, this is what we're doing, take a breath, and get on whatever path is going to get us to that point, you know, whatever path is going to lead us to that goal. I feel like this is especially important to keep in mind for families because oftentimes families can be stretched so thin anyway, and then Disney just has a way of stretching you that extra few inches. And in your attempt to try and do absolutely everything, which, by the way, you're not going to be able to do. You have to be reasonable with your expectations, including what it is that you're going to be able to accomplish. Yes, I did just step in a puddle that was pretty much ankle deep. And yeah, in your attempt to try and do everything, to try and accomplish everything, it's really easy, especially when you're stretched that thin, to lose sight of why you're here. And that can have a vacation where you're trying to enjoy your family, relax, just have a great time, make those memories, taking a really hard turn towards being something you'll never do again. And no one wants to walk away from a vacation like that. It doesn't matter where you're going. You want to walk away feeling good, not feeling like this was an astronomical waste of time and money. So think about why you're doing this, think about why you're here, and continue to refocus on that, you know? Use it to ground you. So the next one, I'm sure, is gonna have some of you rolling your eyes. I always have tips that have you guys rolling your eyes, but again, I think that it is something that is so important to keep in mind when you're traveling, and that is to stop fixating on the money. Stop worrying about how much this costs, how much you saved up for this, how much you had to pay, and most certainly how you're going to get the most for your money. This is definitely going to need some clarification because I am not suggesting that you just spend money without thinking about it. I am not suggesting that you blow your budget. In fact, I'm a huge fan of having a budget and sticking to that budget. We also talk about how to cut corners and save money all the time. So I'm not saying like go crazy when you're here, but what I am suggesting is that you don't get so hyper fixated on the cost of things that it ruins your trip. Whether we're talking about constantly complaining about the price of a snack or the price of a bottle of water or a soda, or, which is possibly even worse, at least in my opinion, fixating on doing absolutely everything there is to do, which again, as I mentioned a second ago, isn't even possible because if you can't do absolutely everything, you're gonna feel like you wasted a ton of money. That's honestly just not a realistic expectation when visiting Walt Disney World, and it's like complaining for the sake of complaining. Now, don't get me wrong, yes, Disney World can absolutely be expensive and overpriced, but a lot of places can be expensive and overpriced, especially vacation destinations. The good news, at least with Walt Disney World, is that we have the My Disney Experience app. This is an app that you can download to your phone, play with even before you get here, play with it even before you plan a Disney vacation, and get a sense of what things are going to cost. This is hugely helpful when you're budgeting for your Disney vacation, and it can help you set those reasonable expectations of what things are going to cost once you get here. Of course, there's a long list of places where you can find out information about how much things cost, whether we're talking about tickets or food or other special offerings here at Walt Disney World. That can help you budget, that can help you plan, that can help you set those reasonable expectations. Honestly, Disney's pretty good about sharing pricing as well, so you can usually find everything you need to know on the Disney website. But you know, like I said when we started this discussion, it's a mindset thing. And the fixation on pricing is just not the right mindset to be in when you're down here. It's gonna have you skipping out on things that you wanna do, even if they fall within your budget, and it's gonna just make you grumpy for no reason. I mean, forgive me for being a little bold here, but Why are you coming to Walt Disney World? You're buying those tickets, you've traveled all the way down here only to be outraged by the price of a hot dog or a bottle of water. To me, that just seems a little silly. And I think that you're gonna get more out of your vacation. You're gonna see more, experience more, and just feel better if you just let that stuff go. Now, the next thing on our list of things you can do to maximize your Disney vacation is to take breaks. Now, I know that this sounds counterintuitive, but whether you're just here by yourself, you're an adult traveling solo, or you're traveling with kids, taking breaks is just the best way to go when you're visiting Walt Disney World. And I know, again, you want to get the most out of your day. You want to do absolutely everything that there is to do. But you're going to be able to do so much more if you're taking a breath every once in a while, not running yourself ragged, cooling off, especially during the summer months. It's also important to recognize that while it might seem like you're wasting time taking breaks, you're actually not. Now look, I know we talk about this all the time, but I'm gonna mention it again, just in case you happen to have missed it. Getting the most out of your Disney day doesn't mean staying in the park from the second it opens until the second it closes. In fact, more often than not, you're gonna have a better experience if you're visiting the parks earlier in the mornings, leaving midday, and then coming back in the evenings. This is because not only are the parks more crowded midday, but it's also the hottest part of the day. So sure, you can tough it out and stay all day long, which hey, you do you. But taking breaks, especially midday, is a great way not only to recharge, but it's also great, especially for those of you who aim to do at least a little bit of relaxing on your vacation. I know people say it's not possible when you visit Walt Disney World, but I strongly disagree. So take your break. And finally, as we make our way back to Hollywood Studios, by the way, Croc is still there, don't let other people drive your vacation. I know I mention this all the time, but it's so important that it needs to be mentioned again. It can be really, really easy to be misled, even when it's unintentional, by people who are posting on the internet, including myself. Of course, that's never my goal. I don't manufacture scenarios, though there are people out there who do. But again, this is something that happens even when we're not talking about content creators. Remember how before I mentioned that people want to see their family in the best possible light? That extends to when they post about their vacations on social media or when they chat with you about their vacations. Maybe they're excited about sharing their experience with you because you said that you wanted to plan a Disney vacation. It's super easy in those cases to gloss over realities, you know? Paint the best possible picture to share that you had the most magical vacation ever. And when I say that that can have you chasing dragons, who do I mean it? And so what ends up happening, and yes, I see this in the parks all the time, is that people have very unreasonable expectations based on things that they saw online, whether it's from content creators or from other families who have posted about their trips. And yeah, unreasonable expectations are just that, unreasonable. And sometimes it's easy to prevent those things, but sometimes a few slip through and you can bob and weave when you're on vacation. But when it becomes a really big problem is when a family plans their entire day, if not their entire vacation, around these not only manufactured scenarios that never really happened the way that people think they did, but also all of these must-dos, must-sees. Look, I know Disney is magical, but not all that glitters is gold. And that's true, again, not just at Disney, but everywhere. Different families are gonna have different interests, different wants and needs. Different families are gonna have different budgets. So if you allow other people to drive your vacation, they're gonna move you on a path that worked best for them. Maybe sometimes it isn't even a path that really exists, and you're more likely than not gonna miss out on those things that would be super special for your family. But there it is, 5 things you can do to maximize your next Disney vacation. Look, I'm sure you haven't heard some of those before, of course, unless you've been hanging out with me, because I do talk about some of these things all the time. But here's the thing, I want to know from you. What are some of the things that you think families should consider doing in order to maximize their Disney vacation and have the best trip ever? Tell me about it in a comment down below. But for now, I think it's time for me to make my way back to the Jeep. Hopefully I can stay dry doing it. Honestly, I think we'll be all right. Anyway, I hope you have a great day wherever it is you are, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Until then, bye.